Hey, Danny here from PodChat. Now, today I want to show you something really cool that Auphonic has done with the OpenAI Whisper platform. Now, for anybody that hasn't really heard of Whisper at the moment, it's an open source transcription. Well, it's a bit more than that. It's like language learning tool, but it's really cool for transcriptions as a free platform to use for your podcast. I was using Podin. That's gone away now, unfortunately, by the looks of it. So I've been looking for a new transcription service because Podin was my favorite. It was the most accurate for my accent, even though it's not a strong Scottish accent. It was the most accurate. I found other automated transcription tools to struggle with my accent. So I've been looking for new tools on my show PodChat and my other podcasts. And as you can see here on this episode of PodChat that I've got up, this is a summer recap episode. And this is the transcript down here. And you can see it's all broken down into myself, the timestamps, the guests that appeared in this particular episode. And a really cool feature, makes the podcast super clean and accessible for the hard of hearing audience, which is what we want to be doing. We want to be making our shows as accessible as possible for all listeners and all audience members. But unfortunately, Podin, which is what I use, it seems to have closed down. I haven't seen it for a while. The website's not opening up, etc. So I've been looking around and trying to find an alternative. And thanks to Adrian McIntyre over on Twitter, he mentioned that Auphonic had recently integrated the Whisper platform to their own platform. Now, the reason I was interested in Whisper to start with is, as I mentioned, it's an open source project. It's on GitHub. There's a lot of documentation for it. And it's really, really accurate. Everybody I've seen talk about Whisper has been super impressed with the accuracy, which, again, as I mentioned, for automated transcriptions, for someone like me with my accent, that would be a bonus for me. But the problem with Whisper is when you go to look at it, as I say, it's an ASR, automatic speech recognition system, and it's got lots of multilingual learning and lots of technology behind it, all the language tags, etc. But the problem with Whisper is it's a bit technical to integrate. If you go over to GitHub where they've got all the documentation, etc., you can see they've got the details here, which is cool. You get the blog, the paper, all about it. But then when you look at the setup, you see that it needs Python. You also need some packages installed to your own, computer, your own server, etc., your own system. You got Ubuntu, Linux, macOS user Homebrew. I'm not a tech person, and I watched a video, a couple of videos actually, about installing Whisper on your system and using it, and it was over my head. So I wanted to use Whisper, but I couldn't use it because of all this tech stuff here. And then Adrian told me about this feature from Auphonic, where they now integrate Whisper. So if you go over to Auphonic, it's a really cool tool. If you've never used it before, it helps you sort out your audio normalization, leveler, etc. I currently use Hindenburg Pro, so I don't use the Auphonic features as much anymore. Used to use it all the time. But if you don't use an editing software like Hindenburg or others like it that have these kind of levelers and normalization tools, Auphonic is an awesome solution. And there's a free version, and you can pay, for premium versions as well. But if I go to my productions, you'll see that these are the productions that I've got, this current month or this last month, I think. I've also got a bunch of presets set up here, and you'll notice that there's one called Transcript. And basically what the transcript is, if I click into it, this is where Auphonic has pulled in the Whisper technology, if you like, and made it super easy to use Whisper with Auphonic. So basically you would create a preset and you enter a name for it. So I've just put transcript, super simple. And you can, if you want, you can enter all these, details here for your metadata. But all you're really looking for is your output files. So your MP3 file, I normally set that at 192 kbps, subtitle, transcript, and speech. The transcript is going to be output in HTML, the speech JSON, the subtitle VTT, and then you just need to make sure that on the speech recognition area, you've got Auphonic Whisper ASR. Okay, and that's it, and then you save your preset. So if I go back to productions, now I've got a little MP3 file down here that I'm going to upload, so new production. And all you have to do is make sure that you choose the preset that you set up, so the transcript preset. Now, if I'm on my standard Auphonic preset, so let's go to PodChat, for example, you'll see I've got some information already set there. So artist name, album, which is basically my PodChat show. I would change up the year for the copyright, etc. But you'll go down here and you'll see the various options that you can set up for Auphonic, but there's nothing to mention transcripts. So if I go back to productions and I want to do the transcript preset, now what will happen is if I scroll down, you can see this opened up this little output file and added my MP3, subtitle, transcript, etc. So all I want to do is I want to bring up my file and upload it here. And you can see that I've got a little file there. And I want to go to start production. And this tells me how many credits I've got left until I need to, boost them again, etc. And it's telling me that it's going to give me the MP3, VTT, HTML, and JSON files. So that's fine. Let's go to start production. And this will work through the processing for it. Now, what Auphonic will do first, because it's always been primarily an audio optimization and repair service, it will process your MP3 file first, and it will make that happen first. You'll get a notification that says your production has been finished, but you have to make sure if you're waiting on the transcription option, you've got to wait until it does the transcript as well. So now it's given me the audio changes. So you can see here, I can now download the MP3 file ready to upload to my podcast host and ready for publication. But it's still working, and now it stopped the process. And so that's cool. It was a small file, so it wouldn't take very long. The longer the file, obviously, the more processing it does. Now, what you've got here, you can see here, it's got the transcript up here, which I can download right away, or I can correct and edit the results. So let's just do that. I'm going to go in there. And what it does is it will open up the transcript, and you can edit it. So you would click edit, and you can see already it's got timestamps here. It tells you if you hover over it, what timestamp you're sitting at. But I need to edit this because the only drawback that I find with Whisper at the moment, it doesn't recognize names and it doesn't recognize multiple speakers, at least as far as names comes. So that's a bit where you'd have to put in the extra work. But what you can do, you go to edit transcript, and you can see here that if you highlight it, if you click on it, so it bolds it. When that bold wording comes up, it will play back what that section is. So you can make quick edits to it. So I will just edit transcript again. And I will just hit pause. I've paused the play and click at the moment. You can see here when I do double spaces, etc. So I want to do some formatting on the transcript, it doesn't update the timestamp. So that's another drawback with this, with Whisper and with other transcripts, to be fair, automated services, not all of them, but with some of them, to be fair. So you would have to sort of listen back and add in your own timestamps. But what you can do, just hover over it, and you can see there, hopefully, there's a little gray highlighter there that says 034. So I can add that timestamp in. But what I want to do, if you remember when we looked at my site, I want to make sure that the name is there and then the timestamp. So there's a little bit of editing that I would need to do for this. I need to make sure that I've got my name there and then the timestamp, etc. And as I mentioned, it doesn't support, as far as I know, it doesn't support multiple speakers. So you'd have to make sure that you're going through and listening back and separating the paragraphs and the different speakers, etc., and putting the right timestamps in. But the beauty of this is, like I mentioned, it saves all the more technical stuff that Whisper has you do with the downloading scripts and Linux and all that kind of stuff. If you're not technically minded, like I'm not technically minded, and it lets you make that edit, save it, and you can download it and ready to go up into your podcast host. Now, most podcast hosts either support SRT files or straight copy and paste, or like Captivate, we have a direct integration with Transcripts, for example. So that's another thing that's not on this option is an SRT file, but you can export the HTML like I did, or you can export PDF or web VTT. So if I click that and open that up, it does give me a cleaner plain text option, which that will make it a lot easier for me to upload to, say, Captivate and copy paste into my episodes. But hopefully this helps you, see the value of what Auphonic's done with the Whisper technology and make it really simple and easy to use Whisper and the increased accuracy that Whisper offers to use transcripts in your podcast. Until the next time, happy podcasting.